Hi,
Gus,
John.
how are you?
Good.
Good. That didn't seem awkward at all.
No way. It's not.
Hi, John. Welcome to Bible/Chad. We are going through some topics that are sort of random ones.
Yeah.
And you had a random topic you want to bring up.
Well, I kind of want to start a series, if that's okay. Eventually, maybe we do one a week.
Yeah, that's great.
But I want to talk about books.
Okay.
You're a book guy. Look.
Yeah.
See,
lots of books. Yep.
Edwards right there.
See that? That's a strong book.
That's a strong.
Yeah, those are fantastic.
The type is perfect.
It's like 8 font.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you need to read that with jeweler's loop.
Yeah, it's true. It's
like,
true.
What's going on there?
Jonathan Edwards was a genius.
Yeah.
I have a headache.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need a nap after reading that.
Seriously.
So I kind of was wondering, we can start with one now, but what are some of the books that made John Buck?
That's the worst question you could possibly ask. Do you want secular or sacred?
Whatever. I was kind of thinking about that. Like, okay, so what are some books? It could be any of it, but it's just what are some books that you think are so very important for us to read?
Yeah.
It could be secular. It could be sacred, as it's called. But what are some things that would be helpful?
Yeah.
And what made you really, as you start thinking?
I'll give you 2 right now. And if it's a series, we can talk about some others.
Yeah.
There's 2. One is a book that everyone teases me about giving out too many of. We order these by the case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's called The Gospel Primer for Christians by Milton Vincent.
Yeah.
The reason why that's an important book is because it's a distilled, logical synopsis of the gospel and how it applies to life. Incredibly important book, and it's not important because of Milton. He's a great guy, we know him, but it isn't about him. It's important because what's actually happening there is he's taking truths from the scripture and condensing them into a very accessible, helpful argument around the gospel, and then what knowing the gospel, what it does to the Christian soul, and how it functionally creates sanctification in the Christian life. Super important book. If you don't have it, I would highly encourage you to buy it. A Gospel Primer for Christians. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $8. Very small book. Incredibly insightful.
Yeah. It's not a book that you just read once and put away.
No. This is not like it's not like one of those books like that. And for the same reason that the Bible isn't that way. Yeah. It's profoundly biblical, and that's why it's so helpful. Yeah. There's not like long introductions and like funny illustrations and things like that. It's not that way. No. It's a book that is meant to be read in small chunks and then meditated on and thought about. So anyway, that's the first one I would say. Yeah. The second book I would say is actually something between secular and sacred, and it's the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, wow.
If you've never read the Chronicles of Narnia...
I have not.
You've never read the Chronicles of Narnia?
No. Not big into fantasy. Keep going.
You're fired. Just kidding. The reason why I say the Chronicles of Narnia, I read them every year. C.S. Lewis had some theology we would not agree with.
Yeah.
But his illustrations of the Christian life and what it looks like, and how, like, for example, what heaven is like, or what it's like for us to commune with Christ, what that looks like, how Jesus cares for us, and different things he does, all through this beautiful allegory, really just a big extended allegory. It's very helpful in terms of personal worship, and like just a deeper knowledge and understanding of who Christ is and what he's done. It's super easy to read, pretty engaging. Yeah. They're not complex, but the ideas that are communicated, and this is the genius of C.S. Lewis, the ideas that are communicated are so helpful, so helpful for the Christian life, for our understanding of who Christ is and those things. So those would be 2 that I would highly encourage. The second one is not 1 book, it's 7 books. Yeah. And you should read it in the order that it was published, not in the chronological order. So if you buy a set of those books, they'll put it in chronological order. Rearrange the books so that it's in printed order.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is first. Prince Caspian is second. Voyage of the Dawn Treader is third. The Silver Chair is fourth. Horse and His Boy is fifth. The Magician's Nephew is sixth. And The Last Battle is seventh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So give us. It'd be interesting. Can you give us an example as to why it had such an impact in you?
Yeah,
because obviously the first one is the gospel, but this.
Right.
Why would you say, hey, every person should read it
at
least once?
So there's a beautiful. Like, I'll give you an example. One of them in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, there's this character named Eustace, and he's terrible.
He's a cousin.
He's a cousin, of the Pevensey kids. Yeah, it's actually an awesome story. Even talking about it just makes me happy. But you
feel like I feel about Rips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the context of the story, it's actually a beautiful story. He spends the night in a dragon's cave, sleeping on the gold mound of a dragon, and with jealousy in his heart, he wants this gold, and it turns him into a dragon. Right, so it's fantastic. It's not. It's obviously like not real, but he becomes a dragon. So he figures out a way to communicate to the other people that are on board the ship that he's become a dragon. And they're not sure what to do with him. So they're getting more and more concerned. They don't know what to do with him because he's this huge dragon. They obviously can't take him to sea because he's a massive creature, and so they're not sure what to do. So in the story, Aslan, the character, Jesus, takes him and takes him to this pool. And he's hurting because of this thing that's on his arm. The story is relatively complex. And he says, take off your skin so that you can take a bath in the pool and it'll heal your arm. Because his arm is hurting. And so the Eustace character tries to claw off his own skin. And he can't. He claws it off, and sure enough, there's dragon skin laying there, but he looks at himself, he's still a dragon. And then he says, claw off your skin, and he does it again, and he can't get it off of himself. And then Aslan takes his one claw and cuts down through the dragon skin and peels it off of him.
That's
and what's left is just a boy.
Yeah.
And he crawls into the pool and he says, it stings, but it was the best feeling he ever had.
Yeah.
And he said that which I think is like the most beautiful picture of what sanctification and salvation is, right? I mean, just that it takes Christ. I can't fix me. But Jesus has to cut through all of the evil in me and bring me back to that place where I'm reminded about who he is, and he has to clean me, right? So it's a beautiful picture of those things. So that's just one. There's like hundreds of these. It's incredible.
I didn't know about that.
It's like beautiful. Yeah. The allegories are so beautiful.
Yeah,
so,
that's really sweet.
Anyway, it chokes me up when I think about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so hope that's helpful for you. We're going to do a few more of these. Gus's will probably be far more theologically sound. No. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you have any questions or you have any books that you want to suggest, feel free to email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much.